So earlier today, we got some new Dark Magician support announced. So what we're going to do in today's video is we are going to go over the new cards and what they do, show you a couple of combos that you can do in this Primite Azamina Dark Magician list, and then we're going to show one combo you can do using the support outside of Dark Magician. So we'll start by talking about the new cards, and there are 3 of them. The first one is this spell. This is the Gaze of Timaeus, a quick play spell. And now the effect of this card is you can only activate one card with this card's name once per turn. Target one Dark Magician or Dark Magician girl you control or in your graveyard, fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck that mentions it as material by shuffling that monster into the deck, but banish it during the end phase of the next turn. This is treated as a special summon with the Eye of Timaeus. Now, this is an exceptional card. It allows you to fusion summon using just one material, like the old Eye of Timaeus did, but unlike the old Eye of Timaeus, this one actually specifically mentions Dark Magician, which means you can search it off of the plethora of searching options that the deck has. You didn't used to be able to search the old Eye of Timaeus with the Dark Magician cards, because if we go over to Magician's Rod here, move over so I can actually see it, it says when this card is normal summoned, you can add a spell trap from your deck to your hand that mentions Dark Magician. Now, Eye of Timaeus doesn't mention Dark Magician. If we pull up the text of the Eye of Timaeus, you'll notice it says target one Dark Magician monster, and that's not mentioning Dark Magician, that's mentioning the archetype of Dark Magician rather than Dark Magician itself, which means this card has not been searchable in the archetype at all. The new one has much nicer text, which means this is very accessible off of the plentiful ways that you can search a spell trap that mentions Dark Magician in the archetype. And yeah, it allows you to fusion summon using just one material, which means we can make cards like Dragoon really, really easily. We've got 2 more cards to talk about. The first one is this fusion monster. This is the Dark Magician of Destruction. It's a level 8 Dark Spellcaster, and its requirements are a Dark Magician plus a light or dark monster. It must either be fusion summoned or special summoned from your extra deck by banishing one level 6 or higher Dark Spellcaster monster you control during the turn a spell card or effect was previously activated, and you can only special summon it once per turn this way. The first effect is he becomes Dark Magician while face up on the field or in the graveyard, and the second effect is if this card is special summoned, you can add a Dark Magician or one card that mentions it from your deck to your hand. So this searches the entirety of the archetype, because pretty much every single card outside of the Eye of Timaeus does mention Dark Magician by name, which means you can access every single card in Dark Magician, and that includes the Gaze of Timaeus, which will allow us to go into Dragoon very easily. It also becomes Dark Magician while it's on the field in the graveyard, which means you can use the Gaze of Timaeus on this card to turn it into a Dragoon. You'll notice that it says, by banishing a level 6 or higher Dark Spellcaster monster you control during the turn a spell card or effect was previously activated. That means we don't have to use Dark Magician cards to make this guy. We can also use a card like Diabellstar, since this is a level 7 Dark Spellcaster monster, and even better, it accesses us a spell that we can activate, which means we can get to all of the conditions we need to make this monster just off Diabellstar, or even off something like an Imseti, because this is also a level 6 or higher Dark Spellcaster, and this one also fetches a spell. I'm not playing the Horus monsters in this deck, but you definitely could use this in a Dark Magician shell that goes in a different direction, or even if you're just playing a Horus deck, you could just banish your Imseti to search one of these to be able to get to a Dragoon in your Horus builds, which is quite interesting. The last card we need to talk about is a new Timaeus card, and this is Timaeus the United Magidragon. It requires Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl plus a dragon or a spellcaster monster. You only use the second and the third effect of this card's name once per turn. After this card is special summoned, until the end of your next turn, this card is unaffected by other card effects. The second effect is if this card battles during damage calculation, you can make this card gain a 100 attack for each spell in the graveyards and banishment. And number 3, during your opponent's turn, you can target a spell trap on the field and destroy it. This is comfortably the worst card in the out of the 3 that were announced, but it's still pretty decent. It's spell trap destruction. It's a towers monster. It's pretty decent. I mean, it's not as good as the other 2, but the other 2 are out of this world support, so this is absolutely fine. It's probably better than Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, so it's an improvement in that sort of regard. Okay, so let's talk about the list we're playing in front of us. We're playing 3 copies of Diabellstar for the aforementioned Making Dragoon lines. We have Beryl Dragon, Illusion of Chaos, 2 Magician's Souls, a Magician Rod, 2 copies of Dark Magician, 3 copies of Ash, 3 Mold Chummy Thoros, 2 Nibiru, 2 Bestials, because it gets us to our barrel, 3 Wanted, 1 Deception, 1 Hallowed, 3 Load, 1 Drill Beam, 1 Roar, because we want to get to our Dark Magician, 1 Dark Magical Circle. This card's really searchable, so I don't really think you need to play any more than this. 2 Soul Servant, it's probably the better spell. 2 Gaze of Timaeus, we want 2 of them because we can't really recycle it very easily. And we have a plentiful fusion monsters that we can make both as a board builder and also a board breaker, which is nice. 1 Talents, 3 Imperm, and an Eternal Soul. For the extra deck, we have got 1 Dragoon, 1 Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, 1 The Dark Magicians, 1 Dark Magician of Destruction, 1 Timaeus, the United Magic Dragon, I can never say this guy's name, Rusiolago, Ilia Sylvia, a Dark, a Link Spider, an Imduk, a Cross Sheep, a Hieratic Seals, a Selene, an Access Code Talker, and an SP. That's the list. I mean, I threw this together, honestly. You could probably build something considerably better with a little bit more thought. This is what I threw together. In the side decks, there's some other cards you could consider. We do have the new Primite stuff coming out probably before we get the Dark Magician stuff, and Primite Fusion does kind of make sense to play because we are playing Dark Magician. Dark Magician is a fusion deck, and this likes to fusion some with normal monsters, as well as the Primite fusion monster himself, and also the First of the Dragon Lords guy. Don't know if you'd be playing him, but he's also an option. You could also play the Dark Magician Girl suite in this deck, since the Eye of Timaeus does mention Dark Magician Girl as well, which means you can make Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight, which is discard a card to pop a card in the field. It's basically a Trident. It's pretty good. I just didn't want to add the extra brick in of playing Dark Magician Girl on this list. You definitely could, though. And if you're playing Dark Magician Girl, you could also play Dark Burning Magic, which is really strong. If you control both Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl, it destroys all cards your opponent controls, and it's a quick play spell, so you can do it in your opponent's turn. And it's also super accessible because it mentions Dark Magician, so it means you can search it quite easily. Silhouette Rabbit and Azaroon could also be in this list. I don't know why there's 2 Silhouette Rabbits in here. I haven't added it because I ran out of space in the extra deck, and I didn't want to play the extra brick of an Azaroon. Thought that'd probably be quite bad, but it could be good. And we are playing 44 because we don't want to see the Dark Magicians and the Eternal Soul, so we would be playing 45 if we had it. And also consider rank 7s. Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon came to mind as something you might want to play for time, but also you have access to the Ebon High cards, which are quite strong. I think one of them, Ebon High Magician allows you to activate spells and traps in your opponent's turn by detaching material. That could be quite interesting, because if you were somehow able to make this as well as go through Dark Magician of Destruction, which you'll probably be doing in every single line that you are able to combo with Eternal Soul, you can Eternal Soul summon this guy back. This guy triggers on special summon to add a Dark Magician or a card that mentions it, and he's Dark Magician in graveyard. So you Eternal Soul, special summon this guy back, add a spell or trap you want to activate in your opponent's turn, let's say something like Dark Burning Magic, and then you can Ebon High Magician's effect to use the Burning Magic on your opponent's turn. That could be quite cool, so this is maybe something you also want to consider. Right, before we get into any combos, I'm just going to show you the other list, so I don't have to come back here while I pull up the list. God, I hate Dueling Book. Where is DM? DM support out of DM. Here it is. So this is something that you could also consider, just not playing the Dark Magician cards outside of the Gaze of Timaeus and the Dark Magician of Destruction. This is a very quickly thrown together Chimera Azamina Fiendsmith build. I haven't really played this deck ever, but it was the first thing that really came to mind to use Diabellstar in. And we'll show what you can do with this support completely outside of its archetype. You'll notice that we're not playing any Dark Magician cards outside of the Gaze of Timaeus and just 1 copy of it, as well as the Dark Magician of Destruction and the Dragoon in the... So unfortunately, Dueling Book is having some issues today, which means I can't show replays. Like if you go to a replay on Dueling Book, you cannot get them to load. So I'm going to have to do these combos live, which is probably going to be very annoying from all the clicking. But let's try and see if we can make it work. So this first combo we are going to go for is going to be opening up a copy of Primite Beryl. So it's going to be a 1-card combo. We're going to go to our main phase. We're going to normal summon this Primite Beryl, and we're going to use the effect to set a Primite card from our deck, and we're going to go for a Lordly Load. We're then going to use the Lordly Loads to search for a copy of Primite Roar, which is here. From here, we can use the effect of the Ether Beryl to Foolish Burial, a vanilla monster. So we're going to send Dark Magician. And we're going to activate Roar, paying 2,000 life points to special summon another Dark Magician from the deck. From here, since we've activated many a spell, we can banish our Dark Magician to special summon our copy of Dark Magician of Destruction and use the effect to search for a card that mentions Dark Magician. Wouldn't you believe we are going to search for the Gaze of Timaeus. From here, we can use our Lordly Load to special summon back our Dark Magician from the graveyard, locking us out of effects for the rest of the turn. We can then link our Dark Magician into a copy of Link Spider or an Imduk, and then use the two to go into a copy of SP Little Knight. There are other options you could go for here in terms of Link 2s, but SP is probably the most versatile because it actually does give you a disruption just off a Link 2. It would be nice to go into something a little bit more effective like a Silhouette Rabbit, but we are locked out of effects because we have used the Lordly Load. But from here, we can set our copy of the Gaze of Timaeus and pass to our opponent. In our opponent's turn, when they normal summon, we're going to be able to use the effect of Primite Roar, banishing it and targeting the Dark Magician to banish their normal summon as long as it has less attack than 2,500, which it is going to because it's a normal summon. Also, in our opponent's turn, we can use the effect of the Gaze of Timaeus to either put back this Dark Magician or this Dark Magician of Destruction. I think it's probably best to put back the Dark Magician of Destruction in this case, to special summon a copy of Dragoon. Now, obviously, in this case, we don't have any cards in hand to discard, but this is a one-card combo, so you have 4 other cards in hand, so indulge me. So if our opponent uses effect, we can negate it with the Dragoon and gain 1,000 attack points. And then we also have the SP Little Knight to banish opponent's card and our card. It would be nice if we could banish the Dragoon to get rid of the stipulation that it's banished in the end of the next end phase. However, this card can't be targeted by either of your effects, so you can't SP Little Knight banish this like you used to be able to do with Baron and stuff like Vanadium. But then, assuming that everything survives and we get to the rest of the turn, we go back to our draw phase, we draw a card, we go to standby phase, and we have a Dark Magician in our graveyard, which means we can add back our Primite Ether Barrel Dragon and get to our Drill Beam and everything else from here. We can also use the Lordly Loads to summon back Dark Magician. We have plenty of bodies that we can do stuff with. So that's the first combo. So this second combo, I don't know why I backed out and went back in again, is going to be with a Diabellstar. So let's just start with a Diabellstar. And we'll also need a card to discard, so we'll just keep this Ash in hand while I put all these things back. So we'll go to main phase 1, and we'll special summon our Diabellstar by discarding this Ash Blossom, and using the Diabellstar to set a Sinful Spoils from our deck. We want Deception. From here, we can banish our Diabellstar to special summon our Dark Magician of Destruction, since we did have a level 6 or higher Dark Spellcaster, and we have activated a spell this turn, so we have flipped this up. And we can use the effect to search for a card that mentions Dark Magician. In this case, we are actually going to search for a copy of Magician's Rod, because we want the extra monster, and we haven't normal summoned. So from here, we can normal summon our Magician's Rod, and use the effect to search for a spell that mentions the Dark Magician. Hey, it's the Gaze of Timaeus, so we can just grab this little guy. From here, we can use the effect of Deceptions of the Sinful Spoils to tribute our copy of Magician's Rod, and special, not from the extra deck, and add a copy of Hallowed. I was getting ahead of myself there a little bit. From here, we can use Hallowed to send the Deceptions, and we can special summon a copy of Murcielago. Murcielago will then trigger, and we'll be able to search for a copy of Wanted. We can then use the... Oh, we need to link off first. So we can link these guys off here, go into our link 2. Again, in this case, we're going for an SP Little Knight. It could literally be anything. In this case, it could be Silhouette Rabbit, since we aren't locked out of using the effects on field. But SP Little Knight is a good thing to... Is a good stand-in, is the words I'm trying to say. From here, we could use the effect of Hallowed Azamina, adding it back to hand by putting this Murcielago back into the extra deck. Chainlink 1, Hallowed Azamina. Chainlink 2, Wanted. We'll be able to search for a copy of Diabellstar, and then send the Wanted to special summon our copy of Ilias Silver. And then we can set our Gaze of Timaeus, as well as use our effect of Wanted to put the Deception to the bottom of the deck and draw a card. Furrows, completely useless after you've comboed off. But in this case, we'll pass to our opponent. In our draw phase, we're able to use the Gaze of Timaeus to put back the Dark Magician of Destruction and special summon out our Dragoon. Of course, you could go for a different fusion, but we're going to go for Dragoon. The reason we, I don't know if I mentioned this, but the reason we're doing this in our opponent's turn, it's so the Dragoon survives until the end, because this banishes at the end of the next turn. Which means not this turn, but the next turn, which will be our turn. So if we do it in our opponent's turn, it means we have the Dragoon for their turn and also our turn when we're trying to kill them. So I think it's important to use this on your opponent's turn. But we can summon this copy of Dragoon. We have the negate from the Dragoon, getting rid of this Forest, I guess. It's not completely useless. We have the Ilias Sylvia negate by tripping itself, and we also still have the the SP, which can banish itself, come back in the end phase. If it wants to come back. We have a little bit less follow-up in this case, but we do have this Hallowed Azamina, which can put itself back by putting the Ilias Sylvia back into the extra deck, and we have the Diabellstar, so we can get back to our continuous spell and do our Azamina line all over again. So we do have follow-up, as well as being able to keep this Dark Dragoon up for another turn. Right, now those were the easy ones. Now to combo with a deck that I'm not entirely sure how to play because I've never really played it, but let's give it a go, shall we? So this next combo is going to be with the DM deck that's not DM, basically the Chimera deck. So we're going to start with just this Nightmare Apprentice and a card we can discard. In this case, we're just going to go for an Infinite Impermanence. It doesn't really matter what it is. So we're going to start by special summoning out this Nightmare Apprentice, discarding this copy of Imperm, and using it to search for a copy of Gazelle, the King of Mythical Claws. We're then going to normal summon this Gazelle, and we're going to search for a copy of Chimera Fusion. From here, we can use Chimera Fusion, fusing together the Apprentice and the Gazelle to go for the good level 6 monster, the Phantom Beasts. From here, we can use its effect, as well as the effect of, oh my god, go to the graveyard. So we can go Chainlink 1 this, and Chainlink 2 this. I forget what this one actually does. Sorry, I really haven't played this deck, so I'm kind of just freestyling. What this card is, send a Beast, Fiend, or Illusion monster from deck to graveyard. Sure, you're probably supposed to send, like, a Dusted Gold or something, I imagine, to go into the Fiendsmith line. I haven't really included anything here to send. I don't think we're going through you, so I'm just going to put you in the graveyard and pretend we had access to it. I know what Gazelle does, though, adds an illusion monster. So from here, we can add a copy of LZ, if I can find it. And we can use the LZ to special summon itself. And we can use LZ to fusion summon using itself and the Baphomet. This will allow us to go into a copy of Mo Regina, and then we can use Mo Regina's effect to revive the LZ. We're probably supposed to add back this Chimera Fusion since we have this guy on the field or the graveyard. I'm sure that's probably important. But from here, we can Synchro Summon into a copy of Chaos Angel, and this will allow us to trigger our LZ to search for a copy of a Sinful card. So we're going to search for the Wanted. From here, we can use Wanted to grab a copy of Diabellstar. And then we can use Diabellstar dumping this Chimera Fusion, probably. I don't know. It doesn't really matter if I'm doing the combo properly. It's just to show the proof of concept. So we'll go Diabellstar, and we'll do basically the same thing that we did in the last combo. Grabbing the Deception, and then we're going to banish the Diabellstar to special summon out a copy of Dark Magician of Destruction. Dark Magician of Destruction will allow us to search for the Quick Play spell. If I can find it, there it is. Then we can use the Deception to tribute off this to search for a copy of the Hallowed, which is at the top of the deck. You can then use, I think you probably use Gates here, or the Gaze, sorry, to put back the Dark Magician of Destruction. Normally we're doing it in our opponent's turn, but I think here it's probably more important to protect your plays rather than keeping it for follow-up. So we'll go for Gaze here, sending the guy back. Then we can use Hallowed, sending this copy of Deception to special summon from the extra deck, not from the main deck, this copy of probably Rusialago. We can then use Rusialago to search for another copy of Wanted. I know we already used the Wanted, but I think we need the extra cards. We can then link off our Chaos Angel and our Rusialago to go for a Closed Moon, using the Hallowed to put itself back to the hand by putting back the Rusialago. From here, we can use Hallowed. We can't go Chaining to Wanted because we've already done it, but this will allow us to summon our Ilia Sylvia from the extra deck. And then from here, we can do the full Fiendsmith line. I'm pretty sure that this is supposed to end on, like, 18 interruptions, probably, because this deck always seems to end on 18 interruptions. But, again, I've never played this deck. I just thought it'd be a good way of showing how you could use the Dragoon outside of Dark Magician as a way of just getting to a negates just for free, which is probably not a good thing. But it is something you can do with the card, I guess. But we can summon back this Dragoon. I guess we'll go based on what my extra deck looks like and the fact that I haven't put a Necroquip Princess in there. We'll just go for the full Desiree line by putting back all of these guys, summoning a Desiree, and using the Sequencia to move over here. Again, I'm sure that the combo of opening up the Apprentice Magician and a discard is probably supposed to end on like a bow, and a bow is probably supposed to bring back this guy, and this guy is supposed to search Chimera Fusion and another copy of this, and you're supposed to be able to go for the fusion in your opponent's turn, all that sort of stuff. I don't know. Somebody who's better at this Chimera Azamina deck, Fiendsmith deck, could certainly come up with a better board with what I started with, but I'm just trying to show that you can summon Red Eyes Dark Dragoon completely outside of archetype by using this card, which is searchable just by having a Diabellstar, which is a little bit crazy. But yeah, that is all I really wanted to show. We're going to go back to the actual Dark Magician deck, which I believe I listed under Primites. Finding things is difficult. Primite Azamina DM. So this is what DM could look like after we get the new support. I don't know when we're going to get the new support because it is one of the tactical tryout decks, I think they're called in the OCG. So it could be a while until we get them. But it is fun to look forwards and look at what these cards can do. So if you did enjoy watching this video and watching me muddle through combos, I really would appreciate it if you left a like and you subscribe to the channel. I'm sure there'll be much more content like this in the future. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.